Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good, lover. How are you?
I'm well too. We were laughing before we got started because we look very plasticky today. Um, I think it's my Shea Terra oil products, which are spectacular, but wow. It's like we put some kind of super bizarro filter on ourselves.
I'm obviously the control freak.
When I was little, we used to read a book. It was actually my mom's book from when she was little called Debbie's Busy Day, which is one of my all-time favorite children's books. But in it, after lunch, Debbie takes her little dress off and she gets her face all scrubbed up to go take an afternoon nap. And I think maybe I'm channeling a little bit of Debbie's pre-nap time face scrub. It's bonkers. I'm gonna have to kind of work to get past that. Wow. Anyway, thanks for watching Friday and Monday's Why We Stayed. And for commenting. Let me say, these are way more fun to do if people comment. So I'm not positive we'll be able to see the comments because we're using our phone today, but we'll see what happens and we'll certainly respond later. But yeah, it's way, way, way more fun if we see you watching and then you comment too. So thanks for that. So today we're here to talk about vulnerability. And you know, we could probably do 6 weeks of everyday posts about various kinds of vulnerabilities. So we'll bring that topic back periodically. But as we were thinking about what we wanted to talk about today, it dawned on me something that happened that I don't think either one of us was expecting to happen, which was Dr. Mary re-engaging with childhood friends from England. So you got sober in the late winter of 2017, and we went to England in September of that year because you were on sabbatical, and you and I had not been to England together in 12 or 13 years at that point. And there were a number of people who I hadn't met that were childhood friends of yours. So we reconnected with some people, and the first person we connected with is a professor at Oxford. I'm not trying to give him away, but he's a he at Oxford, so I guess good luck with that search. But we went and stayed at Oxford when we went to England because actually I had met him in June in Hawaii that year at a conference. You'd reconnected with him.
Yeah.
And oh, wow, I could also talk for 6 weeks about how incredible Oxford is, particularly if you get to stay like we did
Yeah.
at the kind of inside parts of Oxford because we had this professor connection.
Yeah, it's handy if one of your friends just happens to be the Sheridan Professor of Botany at Magdalen College
Wow, you've really
in Oxford.
you've really ensured that he doesn't stay anonymous anymore. Sorry.
Sorry, so he invited us to stay in faculty guest quarters at Oxford University, which was bigger than our house.
And spectacular, about 15th century restored buildings. Yeah, we won't talk about that now, beyond that, but it was amazing.
We got a nice wake-up call every morning because Liam asked his butler to come and wake us up. So, you know, there was that.
Yeah, it was very nice.
But we had dinner in the Dean's private dining room, or the chair's private dining room that night, which was Dana's going to talk about in a minute. But my part of the story and the vulnerability is I hadn't seen Liam for years, and we saw him in Hawaii, but I didn't tell him. I was a very recently recovering alcoholic, so I thought it was, you know, come clean because we were close. So we were having dinner, and Dana can set the scene on this thing because it was just a magical thing. And he just said to me, so, you know, you're looking well. And he goes, how you been? And I said, well, now or never. I said, well, Liam, I've got to tell you, I'm 6 months sober. And he stopped what he was doing. He smiled at me. Just this fantastic warm smile that he has. And then he proceeded to tell me that he hadn't drunk for quite some
In 10
time.
years.
Because his partner had recently died of liver disease. She wasn't an alcoholic. She contracted hepatitis through a blood transfusion, and it ate her liver. She had a liver transplant, and it failed. and Liam decided never to drink alcohol again. So there we were, these two Irish people not drinking in a dorm in a dorm faculty
A dining hall.
dining hall, having this magnificent meal, and there was no judgment at all. And I was very nervous. But it went on from there. We met a great friend of mine, one of my oldest friends, who I'm going to name because I think he won't mind at all. Derek Botley, bless you. One of my oldest and dearest friends. We met up for dinner, and I said, "Look, I'm an alcoholic," and he said, "Oh, that's great." And then it was like a floodgate opening. He told me what was been troubling him, and it was like he was getting something off his chest, because it was almost a blessing to him that one of his oldest friends wasn't perfect. And for me, it seemed weird, but what he was going through made me feel kind of better, because that meant I wasn't like a black sheep or an outlier anymore. Everyone I've met since then have either said, "Well, you're not drinking." "No, I'm an alcoholic." And, "Oh, okay, well, you look great," and that's it. And we have a friend who just won't drink alcohol in front of us. He just decided to say solidarity, and he'll just drink what I drink when he and his lovely wife come over for dinner, and it's just things like that are fantastic. So this vulnerability is it's a thing that keeps a lot of people from asking for help. You're afraid of it. I was, and I got to say, that probably will happen. We are all at an age where nothing goes to plan. Nothing is, well, this is how my life was supposed to be. Yeah, but that's life. No one's life is the way it's supposed to be. And recovering from an illness and knowing that all your friends are having their own problems, I won't say little, their own problems in life, and surviving them as well. Vulnerability shouldn't be an issue if you're asking for help or just putting a hand out for friendship, because we're just all folk. No one's perfect. And it's actually, once you realise that, once you get hold of that fact, it actually is going to help you get through some of the early dark, scary moments of, if you have to reinvent yourself, struggling with an addiction or another form of illness, whether it be physical or mental based. There's always hope, and there are always people that you meet that are always there to help you. We all have similar circumstances, I think.
Well, maybe not similar circumstances, but your point about sort of just moving through life doesn't go the way we plan often. And part of what's been so joyful for both of us on this journey is that our fear and our shame kept us from talking about it leading up to Dr. Mary getting sober, and while he was in the hospital and then in rehab, and really all those 3 years after that. So few people knew because we just didn't talk about it. And I felt so alone. I mean, you hear people say, "Oh, X number of people are alcoholics and X number of people are partnered to alcoholics and addicts," and those kinds of things. But it doesn't matter that other people have been through it. When you're going through it, it feels really, really isolating and incredibly lonely. And so the joy for us, I think, has been in the sharing. The people who've written and said, "Oh my gosh, thank you for saying that. I've gone through this," or "I lived through something like this," or "Wow, I'm in this right now." The more we can be vulnerable and not be afraid to share the flawed parts of our lives, the more quickly I think we can work through them, get over them, get past them, and move on to living the kinds of lives we're meant to live, which are extraordinary and big and expansive and in a place of joy and light, not in a place of fear and darkness. So that's it for today. Go out and do something that makes you a little bit vulnerable chances are very, very good that somebody will receive it well.
Yep, I'm sure they will.
Have an excellent day. We'll see you tomorrow at 8:30.
Have a good one. Bye.
Bye. Can you hit the finish button, please?